What was it like growing up with a father who was in the limelight a lot, and he had a strong political career? He was,
Yeah.
you had to share him with the public. What
Yes.
was that like?
It was challenging at times, you know. It was like, I remember when I was much younger, sometimes I wouldn't like to go out with him because you'd go to the mall and you feel like everybody is staring at you, you know, and I was a young, a young guy. So I didn't like all of that attention. And it sometimes made those kinds of interactions difficult. You know, you go to church and then after it's done, you leave about an hour and a half later because he has to talk to everybody in the entire church before he leaves, and then they want to talk to him too. So it made some things that you would consider routine for most people challenging, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But we got used to it. It's just the way we live as a family, and we, after a while, it started to seem normal,
Mm-hmm.
normal for us anyway.
And was it normal to balance Patrick Manning, the Prime Minister, Patrick Manning, the politician, versus Patrick Manning, the husband, the
Yeah.
father?
I think he wasn't a different person in private than he was in public. What you saw is what you got. You know, he wasn't pretending to be the kind of affable person that he is. He was always a pretty kind, even-keeled, even-tempered person who I really don't think held any kind of malice towards people. You know, maybe people he disliked, but he never wished anyone ill.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of person he was.
Now, his children, based on the eulogies, seem very open and accepting and tolerant and
Mm-hmm.
patient to some of the demands that were placed on him.
Yeah.
Growing up with a father who would have been under attack, those were some of his words,
Yeah.
in the media, by other politicians, by members of the public who may or may not have agreed with him at time.
Yeah.
How was that? How did you feel and respond emotionally to that kind of
I
situation?
mean, you realize that it's par for the course in public life. Everyone is not going to agree with you. Even in private life, everyone is not going to agree with you. And you accept that. You know, sometimes when you felt like the criticism was unfair and unjustified, or it was just intentionally malicious, that would sometimes upset you. But, you understood that that was the game and that he was going to respond in some form or the other, and that he truly believed in what he was doing, especially with our industrialization policies and some of his other policies. And regardless of what the unfair criticism said, he was going to continue forward doing what he believed to be right.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said he was a man of very strong vision, strong will. How did that influence you growing up in terms of the career path that you took and the decisions you made?
I mean, I always admired his ability to stay positive and focused under pressure. I think that's the one thing I admire the absolute most about him. He, regardless of what was going on, he always seemed to be positive and upbeat. Even sometimes I would be upset. You see certain things happen, and I'd be irritated, and he'd say, "Don't worry." He'd say, "Leave it to God," And then he would work his magic, and then all of a sudden, he would get things done, and that's how he was. And he felt that, you couldn't be a leader without staying positive. When things go wrong, that's the test of your leadership, by staying strong and staying positive when most people would collapse and lose their heads.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what were some of your fondest memories with your father? Maybe away from the camera, away from all the public's eye and so on, just whether it was on the beach or at an event for school or teaching you to play cricket. Like, what are some of the things that really stay with you?
Yeah. Well, we did go on a lot of vacations. Well, sorry, not a lot of vacations. The one time he would take a vacation was 1 week for Easter. We'd go somewhere. Sometimes we'd go to Palo Seco beach camp area down there and spend a week of just relaxation, which was unusual for him, of course. Those were really good times. And I had some youth basketball games when I was growing up. And one night he showed up to one of my games. And it was the greatest thing, I thought. First of all, it was the best behaved I've ever seen a crowd, that night. Usually it's a pretty raucous crowd, even back then, for youth basketball. People would be, throwing things at the referee, and it'd be wild and crazy. And then one night he showed up. I just remember how well behaved the crowd. Everyone was clapping and being nice. And like, this is so strange, so unusual. So, but that's a really good memory from my youth.
And even though he was busy, he seemed like that person who made time for his family when he could squeeze it in.
Yeah, he
to
did.
let them know that he was present and
He did his
cared.
best. He wasn't always there, but we understood that he was doing things basically to help our family and to help other families, and it was it was tough for everyone. He couldn't be, I don't think anybody who's had a successful parent has had them there all the time. I don't know who that is. and you realize after a while, I understand what he's doing, I understand why he's doing it, and it also helps us be more independent. You can depend on your parents for everything, and it worked out well, I think.
And during those tough times that you're speaking about, whether it was tough times in his political career or tough times in your own life as a youth developing and learning about life,
Right.
what were some of those pearls of wisdom he would have shared with you, the things that kind of stick with you?
Well, of course, he'd always say, believe in God and put God first. He was a very religious person like that. Being positive, being strong, and being focused. Discipline. Discipline was always a strong one with him. Take control of yourself. Chart your course, and then keep moving. Even when he got ill, and I said, should I come back? He said, no, stay and complete your work. Focus and get that done, and then you can come back. So that's the kind of person he always was.
And how would you say that sort of strong foundation that he laid kind of helped you to get where you are now and your brothers?
Yeah, well, he with him around, you learn from example. He may not be the one to always be there to tell you to do this, tell you to do that, but you saw the way he operated. And you took the things that I admired from him, and you implement them in your own life. It's good to have a positive role model to really look up to, and I was always grateful for that. I know a lot of people who don't have either positive role models or don't have strong parents in their lives or don't have a father, and I was always grateful that I had that.